Good morning and welcome to Our Issues Milwaukee. I'm your host, Andrea Williams. This morning, we're going to take a break from the issues and focus on the live theater. The Milwaukee Repertory Theater is in its 61st season, and it's dedicated to providing the highest level of professional theater to Milwaukee and Wisconsin, in addition to offering a wide range of educational and community programs. My guests are two of the stars appearing in the stage production of Low Down Dirty Blues at the Milwaukee Rep in downtown Milwaukee. It's going on now through May 24th, and it's truly a privilege to welcome Sugaray, Rayford and Robert Stephens to Our Issues Milwaukee. What's going on, fellas?
Not much. Thank you for having us.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you here, and I've had the distinct pleasure of seeing Low Down Dirty Blues at the Milwaukee Rep, and it's held there in the Stackner Cabaret, and when I say that I felt like I was at a real live juke joint, up close and personal, I really did. So let's talk about this particular production and set the scene for us.
Well, basically, the scene is set at Big Mama's Club, and the overall parameters are we are a group of musicians that have played our regular shows during the night, and after the shows, we go to Big Mama's to hang out and drink and really talk, you know, the things that we can't say on the stage and songs that we like to say on stage. And that's the basic premise. And then we've been very fortunate with Randall and Dan that they've allowed us to put quite a bit of our own selves into the characters to, you know, make it more alive. So it's a rip roaring, raunchy, very fun thing, though.
Yeah, it is.
So it's kind of like give you a glimpse of the musician's life after the gig.
So yeah, it's the true after sex, after the party. Okay, so the scene is set in a blues club on the south side of Chicago on a late Saturday night, like you said, going into early Sunday morning. And basically the way it worked along the years, those musicians who play in the juke joint, like you said, go somewhere else, and you guys would just kind of talk about life and get back to the music, right? So that's exactly what happens when you experience Low Down Dirty Blues. Now, Sugaray, you play the role of Sugar.
Yeah.
Talk about your character and the powerful presence that you bring to the stage.
Well, mine on this particular play, the character is a more modern Chicago blues guy. So as the play goes on, when I come in, I'm doing a pretty much more modern take on some of the blues songs. I mean, there is ones where I go into a real quote-unquote Delta blues song. One of my favorite singers, Mr. Sunhouse. But for the most part, I'm bringing the energy and loud and raucous and, you know, with the suit and you know, and the story is basically, you know, I'm the more urban guys, I guess you would say, in the play. And so that's my role, is to come in and do that.
All right, and Robert, you played the piano player, and I couldn't help when watching the production. I thought of the guy that was in The Color Purple when Miss Sophia was about to hit somebody. He said, "Uh-oh, put the thing down." I mean, so you are that character who really, you don't say a whole lot, but when your fingers hit those keys, you know, enough is said.
Yeah, I think that the cool thing about the play for me is that it spans so many different periods. Like when the play starts, you know, with Felicia Fields, who plays Big Mama, she's kind of a cross between Etta James and any number of other, you know, there's a little Bessie Smith in there. So you start at that period of the blues, which is fun, and then she does this wonderful takeoff where I get to use some stride piano, which is cool. So the fun part for me is that I get to do different types of music that all fit inside the blues really nicely, like stride piano. We even do a jazz number in the second half. It's really cool. So, you know, I'm the guy that kind of creates the atmosphere and sets the mood.
The ambiance at the juke joint.
right.
And you were saying, just to give her props also, because she's most definitely worth it. When you was talking about Miss Ophelia, you know that Felicia Fields was nominated for Tony for that part in the original Color Purple. So.
And you can see it in her personality. And Felicia was having some voice issues, so she wasn't able to make it today. But we're going to say hi, Felicia. But she really does take that role of Big Mama, and you feel it as soon as she takes the stage. And what I love is that there's this presence that gonna say what she wants to say. She knows she's sexy.
Oh yeah.
Oh, clearly.
Oh yeah.
Clearly.
She doesn't hold any of that back.
Clearly.
She's flirting with people in the audience, and her music says it all. So, I mean, she just really does have a great presence as well. And the interesting thing about this, and if I'm correct, Felicia also played the casting director. She is the casting director for this particular production?
No, the casting, for I know, is all done through Randall and Dan.
That's the writers.
Yeah,
so
they were also the casting
Randall
director.
Myler and Dan Wheatman.
And those two guys, you know, this is the second play I've done with them. The other one was the 4-time nominated Ain't Nothing But the Blues, which was a much larger production. They're really good at understanding the intricacies of blues and jazz, and they go out of their way, in my experience, to get people who are actually in that field, not just necessarily actors, but people who are actually in that field.
Who live it and
to
drink it.
give it more of a real, you know, and a lot of, from my understanding, in the theater world, that doesn't always happen.
No, that not always.
And the audience can tell, because anybody that's a lover of music, and everybody that somebody knows that the blues really set the stage for a long list of the music that we enjoy today. So you got to be able to feel that soul and that real passion in the music.
Yeah.
And that's one of the coolest things about the show is that if you don't know anything about the blues, when you come to the show, you really do kind of get an education. It's not like classes in session, but if you listen, you can hear, it's like, oh, that's where this came from. That's where that, as a matter of fact, there's without giving away totally the plot, there's a spot in the second half where it talks about the origin of rock and roll a little bit. And it's like, oh, it really came from here. And when you listen to the songs, you can hear, oh, this is where that guitar riff came from. This is where that vocal riff came from. This is where that story came from. And people that really, you know, listen, you'll be entertained on an obvious level, but on a deeper level, you'll also be educated.
I love that, and I don't want to forget Mr. Chic Man, Chic Street. Chick Street Man. Okay, you like get it right. So it's Chick Street Man.
He lived in France for a while, so he got used to being called Mr. Chic.
So, yeah, and I was gonna say he plays the role of Jelly, right?
Yes,
right.
And he's performed all over the world, and each of you do actually bring something very unique together. You're a force to be reckoned with, and it's like a cast of 4, and you pull it off the entire time, and you're like, okay, is there more people? There are no more people. This is it, and you hold it down. I absolutely love it. So we did talk a little bit just now about the history of the blues, but you got a lot of people who automatically think that the blues is about I lost my job, I lost my woman, I lost my man, all those personal adversities that people deal with. But you also can use the blues to let your head down and have some fun, right?
Well, you know, it's like I tell them with hip hop. Not all hip hop is about shooting this, that, and the other.
Right.
You know, I grew up the old school when hip hop was very diverse. Blues is this way also. Don't get me wrong. We always say the blues is 3 chords and a very good story. So people love tragedy. But at the same time, as I would tell people that when my mother and my aunts were going to the juke joint to get their party on, they weren't in morning clothes. You know, they used 6-inch miniskirt, 6-inch high heels. They was going to shake what my grandma gave them. So, you know, it is a rip-roaring, raunchy, exciting, deep music. It's not, I think sometimes people get this idea of being parochial. And I would have to say, who have you been listening to? You know, if you come to a great live blues festival, you know, no matter, usually what I get around the world, in America, whatever, is people walk up to you and say, man, I didn't know I liked the blues.
Right.
Like, yeah, you like the blues.
Right.
Just what is it that someone has put it on you and said, this is blues?
Right.
Yeah,
So, you know, you have to, but it's a very uplifting music, as well as, even the songs that are usually sad, it's a testimony for you to help you get beyond what you're going through. You know?
That's right. So I'm sorry.
I was just going to say the other piece is that it's a music that you have to experience live, and now, you know, we're so trained. we're on our iPods, we're on Spotify, we're on this, we're on that. We hear things streaming. We're used to music that affects us that way. You don't really understand and get the blues until you go to a live show.
Right.
And like the whole storytelling, people don't sit down and listen to a whole story now. But when you go to a blues concert, and you go to a blues show, you get a story. You get an experience that you don't get just buying the CD. So it's a different kind of thing. So that I can understand why people don't necessarily understand all of the nuances that the blues present, you know.
Yeah. Well, Low Down Dirty Blues is inspired by blues legends Sophie Tucker, Muddy Waters, Ma Rainey, Howlin' Wolf, just to name a few. And I am a lover of the blues, obviously, but it's ZZ Hill that'll get me.
Okay.
She said the party's jumping,
Right.
and everybody's having a good time.
That's it. Okay.
Yeah.
It was one of the first blues songs they ever got to hear.
Really,
My uncle used to play it in
really?
his 8-track. He was a ZZ Hill fan.
Yeah, so
ZZ Hill, Johnny Taylor. He was
Johnny
like,
it
Taylor.
will do it.
Right.
It will do it for you, and it's really something that I think generationally people have to understand and respect. And the interesting thing, on the day of this particular recording, it is Bessie Smith's birthday.
Is it?
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
Oh, no,
I know.
didn't know that.
And of course, she was born in the late 1800s. And you've got Queen Latifah, who's going to be playing Bessie Smith in a
choice.
biopic called Bessie on
Really?
May
Yeah.
16th.
Yeah, I
Yes,
heard
that's going
that.
to air on HBO. So I say that to say that these particular type of stories that are being brought to the surface, it's really introducing new generations
That's
to
right.
this music
That's right.
and to the people who really made it what it was.
Well, you know, that's the thing about blues. It never goes away. And, you know, funny thing is, we always say it kind of muddles for a while right beneath the surface, and then you have an explosion. Like every 10 to 15 years, we have a blues explosion. And I've been very lucky that, you know, where I started was a blues explosion, and now it's coming back again. And it's cool to see I call it my generation, because we were the original, you know, I was a break dancer, original B-boy. But the people that are my age now are starting to discover the blues, because, you know, we love hip hop, but you kind of feel bad sometimes. You're 45, you're 49 years old, you're at the hip hop concert, and you look over and you're 19-year-old. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's kind of like, okay. You know, yeah.
And what I love, speaking of hip hop, Big Mama, played by Felicia Fields, she has like a little rap in there.
You caught
on
that,
the
huh?
show. I caught it. I was like, she's
You caught
rapping.
that.
Okay, I
Right.
loved it.
Yeah,
Really,
yeah.
I did.
Yeah,
And one thing I wanted to find out from you guys, you said you were first exposed to the blues from an uncle who was playing the 8-track. We're giving away our
Exactly.
ages, right?
Wow.
When were you first exposed to the blues?
It's funny. I didn't really start listening to the blues until later. Now, I was raised, as it says in the play, I was a PK or preacher's
kid.
So there were certain things that we didn't listen to as kids, and I didn't get to listen to until a little later. Maybe I'd say my very, very early teens. We would go to my grandfather's house. He had this great collection. We would, like everything from Oscar Peterson to Joe Tex
All right.
to
Wow.
you know, and it's like, what? And he would have these records, and we'd go over and listen to them. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. That's where I found out about Johnny Guitar Watson.
Oh, don't get me started.
And you know, all those guys, and so I came to it kind of late, later than some of the other things that I like jazz and gospel, which are in classical, which were things that were in the house. But when I heard it, it was just something about it, you know what I mean? Like I was saying before, it was the story and the beat, you know?
Yeah.
It's like you get that perfect beat, that perfect tempo in blues. It's just like, yes, that's it. Right, exactly. That's it right there. That's it right there. So yeah, I mean, my grandfather, I was kind of, and that was his gift to me, was to leave me his record collection.
Wow,
Yeah, so,
wow, that
yeah.
is pretty special. So I want you guys to stick around. Of course, we're going to talk more about the Low Down Dirty Blues, and we'll find out more about your careers that have brought you to where you are today. So stay right there. We're going to learn more about the Low Down Dirty Blues right after this.